decided in, oh man, 20, starting to realize how long it's been. I decided in 2022, whenever I was in the hospital, that I was going to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I told myself I was going to do that because I wanted to climb anyway, because I had a friend who, he did it to raise awareness for hemophilia. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I wanted, I learned about that in EMT school. I wanted to help with them. And then when I was in the hospital, instead of wanting to do that, I realized I kind of have my own thing to raise awareness for now. And I was really bad off in the hospital. I got diagnosed with an autoimmune disease, and I could barely move. I got out of breath getting out of the bed, let alone taking a shower. I couldn't do anything. But I told myself then that rather than just wanting to climb Kilimanjaro, that I was going to do it. I was going to do it. I had started making plans right then. And then I got on working and doing stuff like I'm doing now, doing contract work for the people who make my medication, AbbVie. That was sort of my springboard to making the I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro into I'm going to raise awareness for UC while I do it. The whole thing was tough. I mean you're walking for like 8 hours a day basically. I mean it's that was tough. That was all the kind of tough I was ready for. But there were definitely a few times where it was like like one of the early days. We were hiking for 6 hours, and it started raining like halfway, and my body had like barely even gotten accustomed to any of the height where we were at. And so it was like one of the toughest days next to summit night. It was ridiculously difficult. And like I just started, like I kind of had to remind myself what I was doing this for, and that's really what it was for the rest of the trip, but mainly for summit night. You start at like 11 o'clock at night, and you're supposed to summit by the morning. So we were hiking again, 8 hours, no sleep. It was ridiculously hard. And that was the time the most that I was reminding myself why I was doing this. It wasn't just like, it was kind of more than me at that point. It was like, it wasn't just I want to do this. It was I'm going to do this. It wasn't just I think I can do this. It was I have to do this. And nobody doubted me. I didn't have to prove every time I say that I was doing this to prove something, it's like I wasn't proving anything to anybody else, proving it to myself. I told myself I was going to do it. I nearly died at 23, and I was like, I'm gonna do this. And it was like nobody said that I couldn't. I didn't even say that I couldn't, but I still had to prove something. I really meant it. And that the last summit night was the part where I was really thinking about it the most. I was thinking about like, if I'm being honest, I was thinking about like, man, why did I sign myself up for this? I was like, man, it is cold. It is so cold. It is 3 o'clock in the morning. I can't breathe. I'm at 18,000 feet of elevation, and I've got like 4 more hours of climbing ahead of me. I can't see anything because it's pitch black. I made it to the first, Kilimanjaro has three peaks, it's a volcano. And I made it to the first of the 3 peaks. And when I got to the top, my oxygen was really bad. It was really bad. And Jackson, the guy who was the guide climbing with me, he told me, like, look, catch your breath up here, but you've made it to the top of Kilimanjaro. There are 3 peaks, you made it to one of the peaks. You get a medal from our travel agency even if you leave now, and you get the certificate from the national park. You're recognized. You've made it to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro. My recommendation is that you turn around. I mean, you've made it to the top. And I still, to this day, he won't admit to it, but I still to this day think that was a test. I think he was testing me, because he was just like, no, I don't know, it was the way he said it. I looked at him like he was crazy, man. I was like, you mean to tell me that I made it this far? I'm not gonna stop short of the finish line. Uhuru Peak, they call it the roof of Africa. It's the tallest freestanding mountain in the world. And I was like, it's literally right there. As opposed to what I just did for 8 hours. There's like 20 minutes left. I'm not gonna say I feel great. I'm not gonna say that I feel great at all. But I am doing this because other people my age or younger might get diagnosed with UC or a similar condition like I have, and might do what I did and sit in the hospital bed and doom and gloom and think it's so over. And that's, for at least a little bit, that's kind of how I felt. I felt really stuck. I was like, man, I thought I was never going to be able to travel or try new foods again, all the things I love to do. I don't know, there was that point where I felt like this was not something that I could handle, that I was completely alone, even though I was surrounded, and my mom was helpful, and my family was helpful, and my boss and doctors were helpful. I really lucked out. I got really good doctors. I still felt like this was way over my pay grade. Like, how did I get stuck with this situation? But whenever I realized that this could be shared to other people, that some other guy or girl in the hospital that's gonna be just like me and feel like it's just super over is gonna see that, like, oh yeah, I nearly died at 23 with this condition, and here I am climbing a mountain. I realized that, like, this was bigger than me, and that was why I told Jackson that I can't stop shy of the finish line. I was like, I can't. I remember. I keep looking over because I remember it vividly. I was sitting on a stump. I was looking over at the sunset over here, and the remainder of the hike was just behind me. And I kept looking over at it. I told him that I could see it, and I was like, I'm not. I've got something to prove. It's not gonna hit the same if I tell people, oh, like, I climbed Kilimanjaro, but, like, you know, it would feel dishonest. And I felt like if I was gonna prove to people that they've got this, they can do it, that this condition's not gonna take them out like I felt like it was for me. If I'm gonna give anybody any hope at all, I felt like I had to push myself. I had to go to the last little bit. I had to make that last stretch. And so I did. The two people that were with me, one of their names I can't really pronounce, but the guy that was with me was Jackson, and he was really helpful. He was really supportive. The two of them, like, emotionally carried me to the top of the summit, because one of them kept hitting me, like, tapping on the shoulder, and kept hitting with the, you got this, man, like, you got this, you're doing great. They were all amazing. Again, I don't think I would have made it to the top if Jackson wasn't there, really. I made it to the point where the path leveled out a little bit. It was mostly flat, and I could see the sign. Congratulations, you made it to Uhuru Peak, the roof of Africa. And I was like, there was still like 5-10 minutes of walking, but I remember as soon as I made it there, that was when I stopped and just started crying. I just started crying. I was like, this is like 3 years of my life that have led to this. At various times, I did not think that I was going to be able to do it. Man, it was great. It was me and these two guys. I knew them for like 2 weeks. Me and these two guys were all hugging it out. And then we kept walking, and they got my picture at the top of the little signpost. And the whole team, obviously, on the way down, they were all stoked. One of my teammates said something along the lines like, there were times that I thought this was tough, and then I looked over at you, and I was like, oh man, like, come on, man. like there were times that they thought it was tough, and they were like, they wanted to complain about something, and they were like, I can tell that he's struggling, and he's not going to complain. Like, I'm not going to. And I thought it was kind of funny to hear that, because I was like, in a way, I was like, I wish some of you guys would have complained first, because then I would have felt a little bit more comfortable doing it. That's all I'm saying. When I made it to the top of the mountain, I didn't expect to look over my head literally above the clouds, and looking back on everything that I went through, and all the stuff was, and how difficult it was, and everything that led to that moment, standing alone felt like I was on the top of the world. All the problems and all the things I went through looked so small. But at the time, they were all I saw. The only thing in front of me was 23 in the hospital, or 23 with an autoimmune disease, or 24 taking a cancer drug. That one took me out whenever I first got prescribed that one. So I guess if someone was going through something similar right now, I think that a simple "you got this" is probably all I've got, because I think there's a certain amount of that it's peace, knowing that God's got it. I don't know what it is that he's got, and I don't even attempt to understand, even when it's out of my hands or if it's beyond me. I can just sort of rest easy and be like, you know what? You gotta kind of take it in stride, I guess. You can't carry it all on your own. It does help to have like a support structure, but even if you feel like you don't, you just gotta take it one step at a time, you know?